So many of you know I've been sick with the lupus flare for the last couple of weeks. And it got a bit more serious despite the medical intervention for the lupus flare, as I was spiking fevers on a random basis for those weeks. I was fatigued, sick, and in pain. And I can't explain it, but I just didn't feel like myself during this time. With my past lupus flares, once we began to manage the lupus, my body would bounce back in a day or two, and then I would be back to my normal self. But this time, the fever persisted and I became progressively sick in ways that affected my ability to perform my normal duties. So I went to see my rheumatologist and verified that my blood count was trending downward. The antibody activity really didn't show disease activity, but he assumed it was a minor lupus flare. I was sent home with 10 days worth of prednisone treatment. It's a tapering down of the prednisone. And I began to feel better, but still felt something wasn't quite right. So on May 22nd, 2019, I went to ER. I had excruciating headache, bellyache, fever, and just general malaise. The initial lab showed dangerously low white blood cells and neutrophil count. They tested my blood for cultures, for bacterial cultures, and they performed CT scans, more blood tests, and bone marrow biopsy. So it was really scary. And they verified that I had a staph infection in my blood and started IV antibiotics, but because I had no immune system, response to the antibiotics took some time. So I was really sick in the hospital. I was considered septic. It took 5 different antibiotics before my fever broke and I began to feel better. And when my body has no white blood cells and neutrophils to help you fight the bacteria, the only defense that it has is the fever. My platelets, red blood cells, hemoglobin, and hematocrit dropped significantly every day I was in the hospital. I was so sick that I had to have some peace about death because feeling so terrible does something to you. And my rheumatologist verified that it wasn't the lupus causing this. It was the infection. But they still needed answers about my pancytopenia. So what is pancytopenia? Well, pancytopenia is where the bone marrow stops producing red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. The cause was what the doctors needed to find out to get appropriate treatment. Was it leukemia, lymphoma, or aplastic anemia? Those were the 3 choices. And I was in the hospital for 9 days. On the 8th day was when I was supposed to be discharged, and my platelets dropped to dangerously low. So I needed a blood transfusion. And they monitored me for another day when the platelets, red blood cells, and neutrophil counts were trending up. Then they discharged me the very next day. I've been nursing myself back to health at home all weekend, but with such a low immune system, I'm to control my environment and avoid sick people or crowded public places. So let's talk a little bit about sick care and healthcare. Many of you know that I see a deep-rooted problem in our so-called healthcare system. So conventional medicine is essentially sick care, and they are extremely good about saving lives, but not so good at maintaining or optimizing health. My doctors in the hospital saved my life. From the ER doctor, internal medicine, hematologist, oncologist, rheumatologist, I could not have asked for a more qualified group of professionals to get me from dangerously sick to stable. I am eternally grateful. However, the antibiotics, various meds, and the infection to the body have consequences. So this is where I'm passionate about functional medicine and taking responsibility for your own health. Their role ends with infection control, cancer treatment, or even symptoms management, etc. Health is something we've got to create on our own, and our programs at Alkaline Wellness serve as the bridge between the sickness and health. So since I mentioned this, let's discuss a little bit about what aplastic anemia is. My amazing rheumatologist was puzzled with my presentation and told me that there's been various cases with plaquenil toxicity causing pancytopenia or pancytopenia, We don't absolutely know if it's the Plaquenil right now, but we do know that my blood was trending up after stopping this harmless medication that was prescribed to me by many of my rheumatologists and to many of the lupus patients. It's the one medication that I took regularly to prevent lupus flares after my third flare. If it is this that suppressed my bone marrow, then problem is solved with discontinuation of the medication. We ruled out leukemia, lymphoma, or any other types of serious conditions. I have lots of follow-ups with the doctors this week and the next week to monitor my progression and to decide what the next plan of action would be. But I did want to share my experiences with you as I go through them. I've not fully processed my experience in the last 14 days, so as I gain more insight that may be of benefit to you, you bet I'll be sharing more. This week, I'm back at work. Today's my first day back at work, and my doctors advised me to pace myself so my hours are shorter to accommodate all the doctor's visits. So this is why you haven't seen me in a while for yoga or the Q&A. But I'm back and we'll share the good and the bad of this. So let's talk a little bit about mindset, because this is hugely important. I truly believe your prognosis in just about anything is largely dependent on your mindset. And if you're sulking in negativity and victim mindset, you're losing the battle even before you start. I encourage you to read my blog on mindset. The link will be provided. Despite what I am currently going through, I am extremely thankful for the opportunity to be back serving you and my patients. I'm thankful for my kids, my family, friends, and my team here at Alkaline. I'm also thankful for all of you who read our blog on a regular basis and the opportunity to share these experiences to help you to shift your mindset from victim to rebel. I want to be the example of what is possible despite all the challenges that we face or I face as I go through them. I truly believe what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and that we always have a choice to make lemonade out of lemons that life tends to throw at us. So I do hope this blog encourages and uplifts you, and I hope you find the courage to choose to create health for yourself. And again, thank you so much for listening. I'll share more insights with you as they reveal themselves to me. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dr. Connie Jian. Sign up for our Alkaline Transformation Lupus, link below. This is a transformation program that I've created that I feel it would benefit you tremendously. And also follow us on social media, both Instagram and Facebook at Lupus Rebel for all our updates. See you next week and have a wonderful weekend.